Okay, the process of reunification therapy. So, reunification therapy is a specialized therapeutic process aimed at repairing and restoring the relationship between a child and a parent, or sometimes other family members, after a significant period of separation, alienation, or estrangement. The situation may arise due to high conflict divorces, allegations of abuse, parental alienation, or after the child has been removed from the parent's care for various reasons. It is a delicate process that requires handling by a skilled therapist, often within the context of legal orders or agreements. So sometimes reunification therapy is something that is suggested in mediation. So there's not an official court order yet, but what the parties are trying to do is go to mediation so that they can hopefully resolve the issues before a judge determines what happens next with the custody. Definitely consult with your attorney about that. Okay, so there are a couple phases, and the assessment phase is first, and the therapist begins with a comprehensive assessment of the family's history, the issues leading to the lack of contact, and the current dynamics. This phase may involve individual sessions with the parents, the child, other family members, to understand everyone's perspective and the readiness for reunification. It may also involve interviewing other family members, grandparents, uncles, cousins, etc. Therapeutic planning. Based on the assessment, the therapist develops a customized plan tailored to the specific needs and circumstances of the family, setting clear goals for the process. So, in typical therapy, the client would guide the therapy session. In reunification process, the therapist is more of the guiding force of the reunification process. So, the therapeutic intervention, the therapy may start with individual sessions that gradually move to joint sessions. Techniques are used to facilitate communication and address grievances and rebuild trust. The therapist works to neutralize negative perceptions and foster a positive relationship. Transition to family therapy. As progress is made, the sessions may, it's not, doesn't always happen, but they may evolve to include other members, other family members, transitioning towards a more traditional family therapy to support broader family dynamics and healing. So, what's the difference between, or how is it different from family therapy? So, reunification therapy and family therapy both aim to improve family relationships and dynamics, but there are key differences between the two. There is a specific focus. Reunification therapy has a very focused goal of first, identifying the issue, two, understanding why it happened and how it happened, three, finding the solution, and four, reuniting if possible. So, unlike a family therapy, which addresses broader family issues and oftentimes will start with the whole family. So, in the context of alienation, reunification therapy is often court ordered or occurs in a legal context, particularly in cases involving custody disputes, divorce, or allegations of abuse. It is a very structured process. As I've mentioned, the process is way more structured and phased, often beginning with individual sessions before moving to joint sessions, which is not always the case in family therapy. So, there is a difference between estrangement and alienation. And Four Kids Law Offices, I thought, had the best explanation of the difference between these two. So they said that estrangement is an active choice made by the person pulling away, typically due to a strained relationship in which they no longer wish to participate. That is where someone is making the choice. It's usually an adult child who says, I'm done. I don't want to have a relationship anymore. Parental alienation, on the other hand, occurs when one parent seeks to drive a wedge between their child and their child's other parent. And that manifests as the rejection of a parent by the child with no legitimate foundation or reasons for that rejection. Unfortunately, that occurs quite often, and it will be presented as estrangement. The alienating parent will say things like, oh, they just don't want to go. I can't force them to go. Um, this was their decision, not mine. When in fact, when the child is interviewed, the kid is like only reciting what the other parent said. They're not describing any abuse, and they're not describing any harm. And it's very, those are two very different things. Okay, so what are the goals of reunification therapy? The first one is rebuilding trust, restoring trust between the child and the alienated parent is the primary goal. That is what is going to happen. That is what we are working towards. Improving communication, developing effective communication skills to express feelings, needs, and concerns without fear of judgment or retaliation, resolving conflict, addressing and resolving underlying conflicts that contributed to the alienation, strengthening bonds, encouraging positive interactions to strengthen the parent child bond, facilitating reintegration, supporting the child and parent in navigating the challenges of reintegration into each other's lives. When people have been separated, and when one side has been told to believe these things about another parent, that maybe they don't love them, maybe they never wanted them, if they were a good parent, they would do X, Y, and Z. So that child is like, well, they're not doing it. But also, what that child has a massive confusion around is, why is my parent trying to see me when they don't do these things? And this parent says that if they loved me and cared about me and were an actual parent, they would do these things, but they're not doing these things. But then we have a therapist or a third party who is saying, well, I don't think your mom or dad would be trying to do reunification therapy if they didn't care. It's an expensive process. We most likely they've gone to court to be able to get this ordered. So they are fighting for you. And now having to work with a child to help them understand love doesn't always look like a set of rules that are dictated by one person. Everybody has their own version of love. And the one thing we know is that love should not cause pain. Love should not come with pain. So it is, the integration part is very difficult on both sides, because the parent who's been alienated usually comes in defensive and can look like or feel like they need to justify everything because they're so passionate about reconnecting with their child, that sometimes the way it comes off is a bit aggressive. And then the kid is like, see what I mean? They're so And really, it's just really big emotions being tried to be, we're trying to force them into this little space. And the emotions are sometimes so big for that little space. And that's why it's important to have somebody there to facilitate so that we can understand where each person is at and help them navigate where they're at to reestablish the connection. Okay, that was an extra long. Um, for that integration part is so important. Okay, so appropriateness and legal considerations. Reunification therapy is appropriate in situations where a relationship has been damaged due to separation, conflict, or other disruptions, and there is a desire or legal directive to repair that relationship. It's particularly relevant in cases of parental alienation. After lengthy separations or when a child resists contact with a parent without justifiable cause. And most of the time, by the time it gets to us, the child is resisting contact without justifiable cause, unfortunately. So, regarding legal considerations, especially in Florida and Connecticut, it's important to note that the process often involves legal orders or is conducted in alignment with court directives. Laws in these states recognize the importance of maintaining a child's relationship with both parents, provided it is in the best interest and safety is not con- a concern. Therapists engaging in reunification therapy in these jurisdictions should be familiar with state laws, custody arrangements, and court expectations, often working closely with legal professionals to ensure therapy aligns with the legal requirements and protects the welfare of the child. So, at no time is the therapist your attorney, and we can tell you, we can read to you. If it comes up, we may be able to read to you, or we can tell you, well, mom or dad, whoever is the one who's having the questions or wanting to fight the fight, Google it. What does the law say? And if you don't understand what the law says, ask your attorney. So we can read to you what the law says. We can tell you, but we can't interpret the law for you, and we cannot give you legal advice. We may be able to say, here's something to think about. Ask your lawyer, but it is not our place. We cannot act as your attorney. And it's very important for therapists who are doing this work to remember that and refer when appropriate. All right. So that is basically how reunification therapy works in a nutshell, why it happens, what our goals are, what our top 3 questions are, and the desired outcome is reunifying children with their parents when appropriate, when it is appropriate. All right.